Hey, it's Mark. Welcome back to Single Car Garage. Oh no, you caught me cheating a little bit. Painted these doors, I don't know, 2 months ago, so they've been hanging around the shop. You know what happens when things start hanging around the shop. They start getting scratched up. So, got a couple of scratches on this. And what I did, mixed me up a little bit of primer, this much. And we're just gonna, right there where that scratch is, and I've got one right here. And I think that'll do pretty good. Let's go clean this up real quick because I don't want it to dry on my brush. Hey, while we're letting it dry, let me show you one of the cars that we own. 84 Z28, 305 HO, and a 5-speed. 4-wheel disc brakes. Pretty nice Gen 3 Camaro. Now this thing has all original paint, but if you'll notice, I've sanded some of the top off. This gray is starting to chalk, and you can see some spots right in here I've got to sand down. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's original paint. It has had some blow-in work. I've got a spot up here on the hood that I fixed years and years ago, and I need to refix, but the hood's in terrible shape paint-wise also. You know, my big question is, do I leave it all original and keep blowing it in, or do I paint it? I like it being a Survivor. Engine compartment, again, all original. I had to take air induction off to charge a battery. Not as clean as it normally is. It's usually detailed out a lot cleaner. But this car has been setting a couple of years now without anybody working on it. So the interior is rather clean. No rips, no tears. Door panels are in great shape. Carpet's in great shape. Dash, all that stuff's in great shape. Oh, and one other thing. I know everybody always likes to hear this, but there's the door shutting. Shuts easy and closes. No sag. Story on this car. I was at a dealership, and this car was being traded in, and of course the dealership didn't want it. This has been, I've had this 15 years or so, and the lady wanted to trade it in. She bought it brand new. She took above average care for it. Dealer did all the work on it, all the oil changes, and they detailed it out every time it came in for an oil change, and that's one of the reasons it was so clean. It had 82,000 miles on it when I got it. It has 120,000 miles on it now, so I've driven it about 40-some thousand miles over the past few years. I put those wheels on it. I still have the stock wheels, but I love those Boss wheels with the gray insert. It's a great car to drive. It's solid. I do need to have the transmission synchronizer starting to grind a little bit, and I need to have it redone. And I'm thinking when I have it redone, I might just go ahead and yank the motor out and have it freshened up, but I don't think I'm going to do much performance. The guy that does my engine work says he can get 300 out of the 305 pretty easy, and I think that's what we're going to go for, which should take the horsepower up to about 250 to the rear wheels, and a 50 horsepower gain won't be bad. It's just a nice driver, and I want to leave it original. As soon as I get this other paint work done, I'm going to move this into the shop, and what I probably will do is paint the top and make a brake line to where I can come back and not have to paint the top again. And probably going to paint the complete hood and the rear deck and have that done. So then all I'll need to do is maybe somewhere down the road paint the quarter panels, maybe not. They're dull, you know how clear gets, but everything's pretty solid on them, so I don't see a problem with that paint because it's going to stay indoors the majority of its life. It's been on, I think, 4 Hot Rod Power Tours, and man, I tell you what, the one big story about this car on the Hot Rod Power Tour, we went to Texas in one of them. That was where it ended. And my daughter and I decided we were going to drive all the way back to Tennessee that night. And we got out of there probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was pretty tired. I'd done a lot of driving. My daughter was probably in college at the time, somewhere around 18 or so. And we'd been cruising with a couple other cars running around 80 miles an hour. And we pulled in and got some gas, pulled out, and we were behind a Viper. And I looked over, and we were running 75, 80 mile an hour. And I thought, all right, there's a good pace. Didn't even think about telling my daughter, hey, look at the speedometer. I just told her, I was like, hey, I'm going to kick back and take a nap. Follow this Viper. Our next stop was Birmingham. I was like, follow it as far as you can. So, man, I go to sleep. And a little bit later, I wake up, and we are just right outside of Birmingham. A matter of fact, we were getting ready to pull over and get some more gas. I looked at my daughter, and I looked at the time, and I was like, oh, we're a considerable amount of time ahead of schedule. And she goes, well, I've just been following the Viper. And I was like, well, how fast? And she goes, I don't know. She goes, the Camaro's only registered to 85, and she goes, it never bounced. She said, so I don't know. So we were probably running 90 or 100 mile an hour coming up through there. I mean, we made great time. I mean, fantastic time. And the little old car did great. I mean, it's just, again, it's a great runner. A car that I'll never get rid of. It'll always be in my collection and probably stay with my daughter because we love the color. And actually, the reason I have this, I have another Gen 3 that I bought in 82. This is the color combination I wanted, the gray and silver. And my other one was black and orange and red stripes. And not that I didn't like that, but I actually, once I bought it, I took it home, took the stripes off of it, and painted the ground effects black. And it's been all black its whole life. So it's sitting on the other side of the garage over there. Maybe someday, possibly, will get worked on, and maybe not. But I love these Gen 3 Camaros, and this one here, this was my colors, and when I seen it, I had to make a deal, and I was actually able to get a pretty good deal on it. And like I said, I've owned it now for at least probably 15 years or so. I don't know exactly when I bought it now. My daughter does. I actually bought it for her to drive, and she ended up driving that red Mustang that she likes so much. So, hey, anyway, there's a short ditty about the 84 Z28. Hey, once that primer dried, I sanded it. I got a nice smooth spot there and sanded this. Now, this is my sealer, and I usually, I have not used sealer a lot, and I've started using it more. I did have to sand a couple of spots down on this because I didn't think it was smooth enough, which the sealer I use, you're allowed to sand down with 600 or finer grit. These are new doors, so I'm not much worried about anything coming up and causing any problems. But I'm getting ready to spray them black here in just a little bit. Of course, I will not have my camera in here when I'm spraying black, but man, I tell you, again, for the amount of money, and I'm going to buy some lights today so I can light this whole thing real good. This makeshift paint booth is going to work out well for the projects I got coming up, and until we get around in time to build a real paint booth, and by then I'll probably stop painting. Hey, anyway, that's what we're working on this Tuesday. I want to get these doors done, and so I can get them done. Then this weekend, my daughter will be here, and we're going to do a little maneuvering around. So I'll have the truck cab sitting here, her car sitting actually in front of it, and the truck cab to where I can push it in here. And next week I plan on finishing up the truck cab, and then the next week is when I'm going to start on her car. So hopefully by the end of February, I will have part of her car painted. And then when she comes in March, she's going to finish it up. So again, we're trying to get it done by April so we can do a little bit of test driving for the Hot Rod Power Tour coming up in June. But that's what I've got going on Tuesday. I've got to do some paint work and stuff, and can't have my camera in here when I'm doing that. So thanks for stopping by, and come back and see me.